everyone! Today I'm going to teach you how to make an easy thank you card for your wedding or event coming up, or just because you want to make a thank you card using watercolor paints and a stamp. What you're going to need is watercolor paper, a set of watercolor paints, doesn't matter what color, but I'm going for autumn themed, so I'm going to be using yellows, oranges, and browns, a paintbrush, a thank you stamp. It can look any way that you'd like, but I chose this one because I liked the whimsicalness. Some stamping ink, a bit of water, and a pencil, a ruler, and scissors if you do not have a paper cutter. All right, let's get started. I went ahead and I got a little bit of plastic to cover my table so that when I do my watercolor painting, I don't get paint all over my table. The first thing we're going to do is grab something. I'm going to use a sponge to dab some water onto the watercolor paper. I don't want it to be soaking wet, but I definitely want to prime the paper with some water so that when we put the paints on, it's not going onto dry paper. So once we're done that, I'm going to start with a lemon yellow watercolor paint and dip my paintbrush into the water. Put a little bit of lemon yellow colored paint and then start at the edge. I'm going to just gently paint in a diagonal way, part of the paper. After that, I'm going to add some yellow ochre to the page, gently starting off where I left with the lemon yellow. And we want it to be a gentle switch between the lemon yellow and the yellow ochre. After adding the yellow ochre, I'm going to use a bit of vermilion and add that to our diagonal paint. Not painting all the way to the edge so that it leaves a little bit of an unfinished look. And lastly, we're going to add some burnt umber to the upper corner. We don't want our colors to be really dark. That's not the vibe I'm going for. I'm going for a light, airy look, very watercolory, less acrylic. So I really don't have to use very much paint. Okay, and now that I'm done, I'm just going to quickly clean off my brush in the additional water. So at this point, we're going to put our paints away, clean up our painting space. We can either let the painting dry naturally, or you can use a hairdryer to make it go a bit faster. If you use the hairdryer, just make sure that you don't send the watercolor spraying everywhere across your page unless that's the effect you're going for. I would suggest just gently hair drying. As a side note, as you can see here, a bit of paint trickled off onto the yellow part that I had worked on, and it goes to show that sometimes mistakes can be turned into something beautiful. I quite like this area, and I think that that would make an interesting card. So I went ahead and used a blow dryer to dry off my watercolor painting. I showed a section where I blew the water over across the page, and it just shows you like that edge. If you like that, like, it's actually quite cool. So if that's what you're going for, I'd use more water on the page. So the next step for us is to create a grid of the size of the card that you'd like to make. I'm gonna go for a 4x6 card, but I'm going to cut it a little smaller than 4 and a little smaller than 6 so the card fits into the envelope. I've found that going 5 by 3.5 is a nice way to make sure that the card fits inside the envelope that you choose for a 4x6 card. So I'm gonna flip the page around, grab a ruler and a pencil. In order to make a card that is 5 by 3.5, you're gonna have to measure out 5 by 7 because you're gonna wanna fold that card in half. So let's go ahead and measure that out. Once you're done creating your grid, you're going to cut along the edge either using scissors or a paper cutter. And don't throw out the extra pieces of paper that you have left over. We'll find a fun way to use those at the end. Don't throw this away. Okay, so we are left with these two pieces of watercolor paper. We can make 2 cards out of a piece of watercolor paper. Out of these 2, I prefer this one because there's more variance in the color. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to fold it in half. I'm also going to fold the other one in half, why not? Then I'm going to choose which side I prefer for the thank you. I think that I would like this to be the front, and I think I would like this one to be the front as well. So after you've folded your card, you're gonna grab a pair of scissors and gently cut around the edge so that you don't have such a sharp corner. We want it to be watercolory and flowy, and corners do not lend themselves to flowiness. So the next step would be to add a stamp right here in the center of this card. So we're going to grab some ink and the stamp, and we're just going to gauge out where we would like the stamp to be. When you're ready to stamp, get as much ink on it as you can, and then stamp away. Press down pretty hard, or as dark as you'd like the stamp to be, and then remove. This is our card. So beautiful. Let's try another one. We have 2 thank you cards that we have created. This is our end result. It's a beautiful handmade watercolor thank you card using a stamp. And I think it's a great way to show your guests, your wedding guests, that you care. I think that handmade things are so special. So after you're done, you can turn to the back and write "Made with Love" by whatever your name is. And you can do that in a pen. Now, for the leftover pieces of watercolor paper, we can use a heart-shaped hole punch. That's the one I have. I have 2 of them. I have a large heart-shaped hole punch and then a smaller heart-shaped hole punch. And we can create watercolor confetti that you can use for the future if you need it, or you could use it to put inside the card, the thank you card, to have it be a fun little surprise when they open the thank you card, confetti comes out. And I'll just show you. Beautiful watercolor confetti. I did this at my own wedding and sprinkled it inside my save the date cards, and it was so fun. I think that it's a fun surprise for your guests. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make a watercolor and stamp thank you card. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you have an amazing day.